this is the latest update from my little trucking operation. So I delivered my heavy and awkward load of hay in Orchard, Colorado, just northeast of Denver. And now I'm in Nebraska on I-80, and it looks like summer. It's 45 Fahrenheit or +7 Celsius, and I'm trucking empty because there were no loads over there, and today is Thursday. It's a tricky time of the week, you know, when you have to really find a good location, otherwise you're gonna be stuck there for a weekend. So I had an agent from a Landstar agency look for a load for me, but she couldn't find anything. Like, the best she could do was, she said, "Oh, I have something in New Mexico." I said, "Wait a second, I'm in, you know where Orchard, Colorado is? It's like 1,000 miles from me, you know?" I said, "I want to go east, basically towards this Iowa 80 truck stop in Wolcott, because that's close to you know, the area where loads can be found going east to Ontario, Canada." And I said, "Well, it's only 700 miles. And she said, "Oh, you crazy? You want to do that much deadhead?" I said, "Well, but you know, you want me to go to New Mexico and haul something out of there for $2 per mile? So then I'll do like 3,000 miles total, you know." So I still have fuel, right? So we're doing good. My payday is tomorrow, and this morning I used the last money on my fuel card. So once that fuel is gone, you know, I'll just have to wait for the paycheck. But I think I'll, you know, I'm driving very slow now, even though the wind is blows right into my face. Speaking of the wind, on the way south on I-25 in Wyoming, I ran into wind gust warnings again. You know, those big signs over the freeway. And this time gusts were up to 60 miles per hour. I stopped at the Sapp Brothers truck stop in Cheyenne to install the new shocks for the cab, you know, for the sleeper cab in the back there. And the guy recognized me because I just did a DOT inspection there a week ago on truck and trailer. And he says, "Oh, we just put new mud flaps on your truck last time you were here. What happened to your right mud flap?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I go around and I look at my right hand side, you know, passenger side mud flap, and it's gone. It's like someone, you know, cut it off with you know, obtuse knife. You know, not something that's not very sharp, but it's gone totally. And it turns out the mud flap on the left was already had some cuts. Basically, they're I chose very cheap ones. They're like $10 a piece, but they're really thin and light. And when I was driving in Wyoming, I remember specifically that wind was coming from my passenger side, so directly you know, hitting that mud flap. So my mud flap is gone. So now I have to install it. But I'm hauling a trailer, so that's not a violation because I have mud flaps on the trailer, right? And that's one little thing, you know, that happened that I have to pay for again. And another thing that happened is that I burned a ton of fuel in Alberta. I noticed that, you know, when the temperature went below -15 Celsius, which is, I think it's like -4 Fahrenheit, I see my turbo boost, right? It keeps showing me the number. That's how hard my turbo is working. Like normally if I'm empty, and I'm empty now, and there's no wind on a straight load, on a straight road, it can be as little as 0. You see now it's 8, right? But now the road goes uphill a little bit. Basically it's hovering on a straight road can be around 5 or 6. That means that I'm driving at 92 kilometers an hour, 56, you know, drive to miles per hour, trying to save some fuel. Now in Alberta, I had that load of hay was you know, quite heavy, 35,000 pounds, and with that one, I know that that's PSI, by the way, pounds of pressure per square inch, I think, or cubic inch. And I know that with a load like that, normally it's probably like 15-20 psi. The number here would be 15-20, right? In Alberta, when that freezing temperatures hit, I saw as much as 30 psi, you know, and I go on a slight hill and it hits 40. So I knew right there that, you know, I was burning too much fuel. And sure enough, I was looking at my, you know, fuel gauge, and basically the needle was moving right in front of my eyes, you know. If I did 4 miles per gallon there, I'm lucky. And then I moved into Montana from, I crossed in Raymond, Montana, on Highway 16 there on the US side. And I was looking at my thermometer here, and the temperature started rising steadily because I was going, you know, going south. And when it hit zero, actually once it went past that point when the fuel gels up, you know, I think it's like what, minus 10 Celsius, probably 5-7 Fahrenheit. Right away I saw my PSI drop, you know, like the turbo stopped working hard. And after that, I was doing fine in terms of fuel until I hit that stupid wind in Wyoming, and that's just basically like an hour north of the border with Colorado. And Colorado, I'm telling you, I hate that state. Oh, and another thing, when I was loading in Alberta, it was dark, minus 20 probably, was already like 7 o'clock. And you have to apply both brakes, right? Both of these buttons have to be out, because when they load you with hay, the loader, the tractor, has to push the hay on your trailer, you know, to compress it, so that he can put more bale on you, because we're paid by the weight. And I would, of course, never take that hay, but if there was something else, but there's nothing else out of it. And anyway, so I applied both brakes, and then what happens, and when it's cold, that your brakes can seize, you know, and then some of your tires, you know, don't spin, so you drag them, and that's what you have to be careful in winter. You know, I forgot about this already because it was warm right until now. And usually when after I use my trailer brakes, you know, I kind of do a couple of turns left and right, so I can see the tires of the trailer in my mirror, you know, first the left side, then the right side. But this time it was dark, and I went from the field, and the road was kind of a dirt road covered with gravel. And I did probably like half a mile, you know, 1 kilometer, then I went on a small highway, and then right there, like 2 minutes later, there was a coffee shop, and I stopped and I remembered about this, you know, effect that cold has on brakes, and I made sure I checked all tires, and they were fine, they were spinning. But then when I stopped at the next for the next like break, you know, a couple of hours later, I go to my front axle on the left side, on the driver's side, and I have two spots, probably like 15 centimeters each, you know, maybe what, 5 inches long, on both tires. Are kind of like destroyed, as if someone used that sandpaper on them, you know. Like, there's still enough tread, but still, you know, it means that I would have to get either you know, new tires or used tires or something, or recaps. So this trip was just, you know, from bad to worse. So I lost the mud flap, I lost 2 tires, I didn't make any money, I burned a lot of fuel. But I mean, going that way towards Beaver Lodge with that oversized load, I did fine, right? It was like over $5 per mile, but going back, Jesus, I think I lost whatever I gained going that way. The only other piece of news I'd like to share is that because the load was 12 feet 4 inches wide, you know, I made sure I called our heavy haul department and I said, you know, guys, it's time you increase my classification, because I was still on the kind of lowest, you know, bracket there. They only allowed me, like, not allowed, but I mean, I was good for only up to 10 feet wide. I can do any width, you know, but if I get into an accident, let's say, if I, you know, damage some property or my trailer or something, and it's above my grade, so to speak. Let's say this time, right? I had 12.4, and Landstar only had me approved until 10. So if nothing happens, that's fine. Then you can actually call them and ask them to increase your how wide the load you can do. But if you get into an accident, you can lose your job. That's why it's kind of risky, but there's no other way to grow as driver unless you do some of these oversized loads. So I called him, the guy looked at my record, he says, okay, you've been here long enough, you didn't have any accidents, with oversized loads. So now they increased my classification. I forgot what it's called. I think it was, before it was 2, like number 2 at the end. Now I think it's 3, basically. Now I'm good to haul loads up to 12 feet wide. And I also asked the guy, I said, can I buy an RGN if I find a used one or something, like a double drop trailer? And because you have to get the approval. And that's another piece of news, like good news, that the guy made a note on my file there, this heavy haul guy, they have lots of power, authority in these matters. And he made a note saying that, yeah, the driver expressed interest, in purchasing used or new detachable trailer, and based on his record, there should be a problem. So if I save some money, or if I get rid of this flatbed somehow, that's what I want to do. I want to get into RGN or double drop, mechanical detach, so that I can, make good money. So this was a quick update from I-80 in Nebraska, heading east, empty, making no money, sipping fuel. Thanks for watching. This was Sergey Drashev, Landstar 808.